Today we're going to make a one-day sourdough sandwich loaf, and this one is honey wheat. I actually haven't made one of these in a couple years, but I have perfected my recipe and I'm sharing it with y'all. So first you're going to need 3/4 cup of sourdough starter. This can be starter that is at its peak or starter that is hungry. As long as you have a mature starter, this will work. So 3/4 cup of starter, 1 1/3 cup of water. That is 1 cup and 1/3 of a cup. You're just going to mix the starter and the water together. Then you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of honey, or you can change that for sugar if you want. 2 tablespoons of any kind of oil. I did use avocado oil, or you could also use melted butter. So you're just going to mix in your honey and your oil. After you have that mixed together, you're going to add your flour. So I use 2 types of flour. I use 2 1/2 cups of my regular bread flour, and then I'm also going to use 1 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour. So as always, my bread flour is King Arthur bread flour, and so I also use the King Arthur whole wheat. After you have your flour in there, you're also going to sprinkle some salt on top of that flour before you start mixing. I sprinkled in about 2 teaspoons of salt. You're just going to mix that lightly and then start kneading that dough by hand. You can add a couple more tablespoons of water while you are kneading if it seems too dry, which is what I did. Because we were going for a shaggy dough, I probably added another 3 tablespoons while I was kneading this dough. So after you have it all kneaded together, the stretch and fold process is very similar to my original sourdough sandwich loaf recipe. I'm going to leave it on the counter uncovered for 20 minutes. We come back and do 1 stretch and fold after that 20 minutes. So this is the dough after that 20-minute mark. And then I also left it covered on the counter for 1 hour, and I came back and did another stretch and fold before leaving it on the counter for about 5 1/2 hours. So that last time frame is your bulk rise, and it's pretty flexible. I would say you could leave it on the counter for anywhere from 5 to 7 hours. So this is after about 5 1/2 hours. My dough had doubled and it was ready to be shaped. So I just sprinkled a little bit of flour onto my working surface, stretched and flattened that dough out. I did go ahead and oil my loaf pan. I'm just going to roll that into a loaf shape and put it into my loaf pan. After it is in the loaf pan, I'm going to cover this loaf for about another hour, hour and a half. You could actually leave it up to 2 hours. This is that final rise. As you can tell, it got pretty puffy on top. That's what you're aiming for. I then preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and I baked this loaf for about an hour. A good indicator that your loaf is done is if the internal temperature is around 200. 200 to 210 is the sweet spot. This is a super easy recipe. You can make this in one day, and it makes the best honey wheat sandwich bread.